One thing I think we really need to learn as a species, as human beings, is to talk about what we want and what we don't want and why, instead of talking about people and how other people should change their behavior or how other people are wrong or ignorant or dumb or stupid or whatever. And we leave those conversations behind because they don't do any good in creating a world that everybody will thrive in. And then we start practicing talking about, what do I want? What do you want? If there's a conflict, if we don't want the same thing, like exploring a mutual solution for it. We don't have to agree on everything, but we can still be here together. And sometimes when we really when we stay connected and curious on each other and exploring, what am I wanting? What are you wanting? Completely new ideas can arise that doesn't arise when we're busy fighting to get what we want and not letting the other person have what they want. And when we're not even talking about what we are wanting, but just talking in general terms or in categoric terms, descriptive terms, you're egoistic or whatever we can call somebody, we don't get any wiser and we don't get any more connected. And we don't open up the possibility of actually solving our conflict. And that's kind of really sad, because both of us want a solution to the conflict when we want something different. And when we talk about who's right, who's wrong, we don't really find the solution that meet both of us. So really getting a conversation going in the family, in our local society, in our national societies, internationally. Ask it of our politicians again, require that they don't talk about each other, but they talk with each other. And they're not supposed to agree, but they are supposed to be adult human beings and talk with each other and not badmouth each other, right? At least I think so. So that we start talking about what we want, what we don't want, what kind of world we want, what kind of family we want, what kind of school system we want, what kind of neighborhood, society we want, what kind of international society we'd love to see, what kind of world we want to live in. Talk about what we want and why we want it. When we connect to each other here, even if we see different routes to getting there, which is often where our disagreements is, we see that underneath our different strategies for going somewhere, for achieving something, we want something in common. And when we connect there, it's so much easier to say, okay, these strategies we already thought of, does any of them work? Do we need to find a completely new strategy that meet this space of mutuality better? So really, really learning to talk about what we want and why we want it, why it's important. And then we really, really need to believe it's possible, because we're not going to do it if we don't believe it's possible. It's so easy to wipe it off as wishful thinking, or as John Lennon saying, you may say I'm a dreamer. We may, and then we're not going to do much about it, right? Or we may really say that's a real possibility, even if it's not created yet. It's a real possibility, just like putting a man on the moon. It's a real possibility. So really insist that we want that possibility. We want a world that works for everyone. We want ourselves, our neighbors, our societies, our governments to make it the priority to create a world that works for everyone. Like the priority, like sending a man to the moon was immensely expensive. And I'm sitting here today thinking, wow, they did that on the 60s, 70s technology. That's like horrifying with all the technology we have today, but where did that come from? A lot of it is like offsprings of that space project, right? So much was evolved from that. That is part of our daily life today. So the same kind of dedication, the same type of thing, we're making it the priority, and it's more important than national budgets. Not that we should not tend to that, but that it is the priority also on the national budget, and in our private household budgets as well, that it's a priority, the priority. And I also think it's really useful to see that we are already co-creating this. There are already so many people co-creating this, and this is maybe where I can say a little bit about where I come from with this. Like, I've had this idea for 15, 20 years, but didn't know what to do with it. I've had this A World of Our Choice banner in my head and not knowing what to do with it. And I've been supporting like good courses. I have some things that I put money towards, but I've also lived relatively discouraged about the state of the world, and not really believed in this possibility for many, many years. And over the last year and a half, actually very much during COVID, I just got so aware that historically we're living in the best of times, even with all the problems we face. We're living in the best of times with how many people are thriving financially. Women's rights, more and more so also the rights of people irrespective of religion or sexual orientation. Like, we're getting all these rights, and like seeing each other as equals, and like slavery is history. Some people, I know that some people are working in like slave-like environments, but it's not part of our cultures, or Western cultures anymore ways. And like the whole ecological movement, that in a relatively short period of time, from being something weird a few people did, eat biofoods, to it being mainstream, and you can find whole grains and ecologically grown vegetables and meat substitutes in mainstream supermarkets. We are already moving that way, and there are big companies who are also looking at sustainability and how can we create our products in a way that is sustainable. So both on the individual level of individuals, and also on government politics, and also businesses, and also big companies are more and more looking in this direction and having this awareness. So we're already going there, and I think that's really hopeful. Like, we're not starting from scratch at all, but sometimes it can sound like that, and that can be really discouraging. And I think we really need to be encouraged that we're already doing well. We're already doing some really good things. The United Nations was made the Human Bill of Rights. Great thing to have created, right? And maybe we need to step up now so that it happens way faster. But it's already happening, and we just need to get more people going. And being encouraged rather than discouraged is a key to doing things, and to engaging, and knowing that you matter in this human puzzle of everyone, that what every one of us matters, and not taking it as something that can give you a bad conscience because you're never going to do enough, but you're not alone in it either. You're not alone in it either. So it's not all on you. And that we can do this together, and we need more to get the ball rolling even faster. So raising this consciousness that a world of our choice, a world that works for everybody, is possible. And yes, we do want to create it. It is a priority. And then how do we engage? I think that's a really individual question that everyone must ask themselves. How do I want to create this? How do I want to contribute to creating this? It can be in the grocery shopping, going more for the ecological stuff, or for locally grown vegetables, rather than having things flown in from all over the world, you know. Or it can be engaging in local initiatives, or creating your own initiative in this direction. It can be creating a movement trying to impact government, or it can be going into politics, obviously, also. It's really listening into what are you inspired to do more or differently in your day-to-day life, or on a more big scale kind of thing. And staying away from there is a right way of doing it, something we should do, because that's just a killer. Nobody's inspired by having to do stuff. But what calls you? Where do you see you can make a difference? Where do you see that how you engage matters? And if you don't see it in like big political settings or in movement maker settings, who can you support? Who can you, like, where can you direct some money so that somebody else can work and do the things that you don't personally want to engage with? Or it can be even so locally as when you're talking with another parent in your child's school and they say something categorizing about another human being, to not let it pass, not let it slip, but saying, you know what, I don't think we should relate to each other in that way. I think we should really respect each other and be curious on if there's some specific behavior that person is upset about. Be curious about, why does that behavior arise? Or what is it you want? Have you asked that person? Have you talked with that person about it? You know, not letting it slip when people are just speaking behind other people's backs, basically. And making sure that, so usually when we do that, there's something we want. So help people getting in touch with, what is it you want that has not been fulfilled with that person, and could you talk with that person about it? And is it necessary, or is just getting to know what you would like in that community, like in that relationship, is that enough? Do you not even have to confront them? There are no right answers. There really isn't any right answers. There's only what's true for you to do. So really listening into that. Yeah, I think I've been around everything. You can do it on a personal level. You can do it on a local level. You can do it on a national level. Like, request of your politicians to create a world that works for everyone, and to speak to their fellow politicians in a respectful and decent way, and not badmouth them. Talk with them. Like, really, like, what kind of society, what kind of government would we have if we really experience our politicians talking with each other and trying to understand each other's point of view, instead of just waiting for the other person to shut up so that they can state their own point of view. If politicians really spoke to say, okay, so we're co-creating this nation as representatives of the people. What am I wanting? What is you wanting? And I think they're doing it, but often behind closed doors and in front of the media, it's oftentimes the opposite, that they're just stating their own point of view and trying to look the other person look bad in the eyes of the public. Demand that your politicians be better than that. Vote those who are better than that into your governments. and don't let them get away with it. They are leaders. They should lead well, and they should be leaders for everyone in that country, not just for those who see it the same way as they do. So, and then obviously also request that this is on the global scene as well, that our politicians also in their international engagements, that they also speak a world of our choice, a world that works for everyone in those for us. So join the Facebook group if you're not already a member. Listen into what's alive for you to do. There's a lot of resources, and more will be added in the Facebook group. It's an open group. It's for everyone. Everyone who wants to create a world of our choice. And you're welcome to also add your content in there, as long as it's really aligned with creating a world of our choice. So just make sure, like, double check that what you put up is aligned with that. And let's co-create this together. I can't do it alone. I can do this, but I can't do massive change on my own. We need to be a lot of people. So come join me, come join us, come create a world that works for everyone, a world of our choice.